Well, it's a really interesting time in the philanthropic sector. First of all, I think we're going through a lot of disruption. There's a lot of new money and new wealth coming into the philanthropy sector. It's not going to surprise any of your listeners to hear that we're going through a time of great, economic inequality in the United States. So the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the middle class is being squeezed. Um, but the one silver lining to that is that there is a significant amount of capital coming into the philanthropic space. Now, the real question is, some of that is sitting in donor advised funds, some of that is sitting in foundations and not really being activated. So myself and a whole lot of other leaders in this sector are really focused on how do we get that money into communities and into nonprofit organizations, not just sitting in bank accounts earmarked for philanthropy 10 or 20 or 50 years from now, but how do we get that money moving now? Because, again, I don't need to tell
Yeah.
you that our world faces a lot of challenges, right? You're facing a climate crisis globally. We've got rising income inequality. We've got issues around democracy and the rise of authoritarianism globally and in the US. Political polarization, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Civil War. Our K-12 education systems could do better. So there's no host of issues which philanthropic capital can address if put to use. So those are some of the big trends. I would say a couple other things we're seeing is that many of these new philanthropists are really thinking of their giving much more globally. So because of globalization and the internet and the world being so much more interconnected, people in
Mhm.
the United States, it's getting easier and easier to give money to a nonprofit in Africa or in India or in Latin America and the global South. Many of the donors I work with are also using multiple vehicles. That gets a little bit technical for the average listener, but they might have a donor advised fund. They might have an LLC like Chan Zuckerberg has done, which gives them more flexibility. They might set up a foundation, or they might choose to not set up a foundation. I think we're seeing increasingly donors don't want to build a big Rockefeller or Gates Foundation or Packard Foundation. They want to stay more nimble and not have a big staff. So that's all leading to the rise as well of lots of intermediaries, pooled funds, donor collaboratives, basically an explosion of different vehicles and opportunities for donors to get engaged, the likes of which I have not seen in my career over the last 30, 40 years.